Hi everyone, how you all doing? This is muddledmuppet, legendary Big Mouth. I've got a mix today of some gameplay of a game that never really quite made the big time, but should have done, in my opinion. I'll leave the game running while I'm talking for you to have something to look at, and we'll talk a little bit about that later on. But I have got something that's quite interesting. There's this thing flying around at the minute, 20 people I'd like to meet. It's just a bit of a game, so I've made a list myself. Now I haven't put a huge amount of time into this because I did want it to be reasonably spontaneous. So I haven't kind of rehearsed a speech or anything, but I'm just going to go through this list. Now the first person that I'm going to start with, this is kind of a bit sad, right? And before I do this, I want to make one thing very clear. I do not believe in life after death or anything like that. And I don't want to receive messages that this person is watching over me or anything at all like that, okay? It won't mean anything to me. Anyway, the person I'd most like to meet is my sister. My sister passed away when she was 29 with cancer. I still think about her every day. I still love her with all my heart. And I would love to see her again. One more time. Anyway, come on, let's move on. I'm not gonna bring you down here, but we've got to remember people. I would like to meet Martin Luther King. Now, yes, we all know that he's probably one of the people everyone would like to meet. But for me, I'd like to meet him not just because he was this great man who achieved great things, but because he was a flawed great man. He achieved great things despite his faults. I'm not going to go into those faults. But he did have them. Anybody who's read anything about him knows this. But that's not the issue. The issue is that we all have our faults, and we can still, despite those, go on to achieve greatness. Right, I want to get the party going, so I'm going to invite two people to do that. And these people are before my time. I am quite old, but I'm not as old as this. I would like Nina Simone and Cole Porter. Cole Porter is my favorite songwriter of all time, and Nina Simone just has the voice of an angel. Check those people out. If you haven't heard of them, check them out. If you have heard of them, you don't need me to tell you anything about them. I would like to meet Samuel L. Jackson just because he's the coolest guy on the planet, isn't he? I wish that my voice was like his. It's not, as you probably guessed. In fact, I'm 50 years old and I'm still waiting for my voice to break. But I would just love to meet him, just to let him talk away and just hear the coolness pour out of the guy. I'd like to meet Terry Pratchett. I have an enormous respect for this guy, not just because he is an amazing author. His work is fantastic. It works on so many different levels, but because he openly acknowledges his Alzheimer's, his dementia, and he's not going to give in to it. He's gonna keep on fighting until his last breath, and you just have to admire the guts of that man. I would love to meet Shakespeare. Shakespeare's plays and his understanding of humanity is what I love. Obviously, the language that we see in Shakespeare is very archaic, but I think it would be really hard pushed to find somebody who understood man as much as he did. I'd like to meet Adolf Hitler just because I always think it's very inspiring to meet somebody who's very committed to their work. And yeah, you can argue that maybe his work wasn't the best work, but he gave it his all. Tom Waits. I'd love to meet Tom Waits. This guy again, an amazing voice, brilliant songwriter, and he's somebody who has just total artistic integrity. He could have easily gone down the commercial route, but he's made his work, he's made his living doing what he wants to do, and there is not 1 ounce of give in him. He just does what he wants to do, and every note that he pours out comes straight from his soul. I'd like to meet the first guy that ate an egg. I mean, seriously, who saw this thing drop out of a kitchen's arse and thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to boil that for 3 minutes and eat it. A very courageous man. I'd like to meet Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde has often been quoted. He's probably the most quoted person after Shakespeare in the world. and you know, an absolute genius in his works. But I'd like to meet Oscar Wilde on a bad day. I'd like to meet Oscar Wilde at a party when he has an opportunity to get this witty comeback and words fail him, and 2 minutes later he's just going, "Oh man, I just wish I thought of saying this at the time." I'd just like to know that that happens to him as well as everybody else. I'd like to meet Tommy Cooper. Like, yeah, I can remember being a kid and watching Tommy Cooper on the telly, and he would have me in tears, rolling around the floor laughing. Often the rest of the family would be looking on and not really getting it, but I always did. He didn't have to say anything. It was just the expressions he would pull. Um, Absolute genius. The funny thing about Tommy Cooper is he didn't intend to start as a comedian. He actually did intend to start as a magician. And in his first public performance, he just lost words. He couldn't get his words out. And he stood there on stage with his mouth sort of doing this flapping thing. Everyone thought it was supposed to be a joke and started laughing. And it just kind of went from there. I'd also like to meet Che Guevara. Mainly because I'd like to borrow his hat. He's got a very cool hat. I would like to meet Lauren and Liam when they hit 30. Lauren and Liam are my two kids. Lauren is 19, Liam is 17. And you know, they are fantastic kids. I love them with all my heart, and I just want to see how their life is going to turn out. You know, like, so I'd like to see them, you know, when they hit 30, and just see the person that they've become. I'd like to meet Alfie. Alfie is my dog. Now, I meet my dog every day, but I'd like to meet Alfie who could talk. There are so many times that I look at him and I just wonder, what is going through your mind? And anyone who's got a dog and is really, really close to that dog will know exactly what I'm talking about here. Animal of the Muppets. Because he is not just the ultimate animal, he is the ultimate party animal. Can you imagine Animal at a party? And that party not going with a swing? No. He's definitely up there. Alright, now that's actually 18. I've rattled through these a bit. And I've got two people that I've saved till last. One is I'd like to meet me at the various stages of my life. I'd like to have met me when I was younger, when I was a musician and going on tour, and you know, I had hair, had a nice slim build and all that sort of stuff. Because at that age, I wasn't a confident person. Still not massively confident now, believe it or not. But at that age, I wasn't really that confident. And I'd like to have met me and just say, hey, you know what? You're actually doing okay. You're doing all right. Have a little bit more faith in yourself, and you'll be fine. I'd also, you know, just like to see me from outside of my own experience, to see what I'm like to meet as a person. The last person that I'd like to meet is God. Now, this kind of, it's strange. I am an atheist, right? And this isn't to offend anybody who is religious. But just say that there was a God. I'd like to meet God and say, look, if you wanted people on earth to follow you and believe in you, could you not have just made it so that everybody believed in the same God? And that we didn't have to have these horrendous wars that have happened through every stage of history, and mostly tied up with religion. Could you not have just written one Bible, or the Quran, or the Talmud? I'm not picking sides here, but could you not have just had one definitive, authoritative text that everyone who's religious could follow, without really feeling that they needed to beat the next person down over it? Anyway, that is my list. I really want to see what you think about this. So if you have any comments at all on it, please do put them down in the comments. If there's any there that you agree with, disagree with, if you've got your own, you know the kind of thing, get them down in there. Anyway, let's have a turn to the gameplay. So, the game itself, Red Faction Guerilla. Well, I had a great laugh on this last night with the guys from PS3coffindodgers.com. You can pick this game up for a few quid. But even that aside, we were kind of discussing games, and one of the guys on there, Curry Monster, or Vindiluvian, had said to me a bit ago, there's no such thing really as old games and new games, there's just games. And he's absolutely right. You know, a game should stand or fall on its own 2 feet. Some people really still like the old retro games for whatever reason. Personally, I like to judge each game on its own merits. So let's have a look at Red Faction Guerilla. Graphically, this is still pretty decent to play. It's a few years old now, but this still holds its own as far as I'm concerned. The graphics suit the game, if you get what I'm saying. Where it really shines is its multiplayer options. Don't really have room to go into them all in here, but you can alter just about any parameter that you like in the game options. And this is up to the host. Oh, this is another thing about it. You can have private games. I wish more games would have private games. I really hate it when you get some dicks coming into games, spoiling everything with their try-hard behavior. Private games are a whole new world. If you can just hang out with a group of guys and you know that both sides are not going to cheat, they're not going to glitch. You know, winning isn't everything. Having a laugh is more than actually winning. You're going to be in for a great night. And if the game can support private games, it already starts to score top marks in my book. There are a few sort of game variants. You have capture the flag, team deathmatch, everyone against everyone. There's also various different modes where you have to destroy buildings while one side has to repair those buildings. So that's kind of like a nice new take. Let's say this game's quite old, but because on Coffin Dodgers we're not bothered about the age of the game, we all had a go on this, and there was 14 of us in, which is quite decent for a game, you know, this age, to have 14 people in. It made it. We just had a really good time with it. You can pick this up really for next to nothing nowadays. If you can get together with some people who are like-minded, this has really got to be worth it. You get various different backpacks. This one that I've got now is kind of like a jump pack, jet pack sort of thing. It will keep you in the air, but not forever. But there's different backpacks that can give you a speed boost or make you turn sort of into the stealthy mode. There is Rhino, which you can use to crush down buildings. There's so much in this game. As I said, we had a great night playing this, and the amount of times that I've bought games and they just haven't worked, or for whatever reason, or I spend £40 on a game. That's probably, I don't know how much games are in America, but what, $60, $70 somewhere in that sort of region. You spend that sort of money, and sometimes you think, what the hell did I waste this for? This is just a waste. Now, Red Faction Guerilla has a very decent single player mode. If you like free roaming type games, you know, you get this huge world to travel around in and cause havoc in. And it's got a very, very playable multiplayer. I have to be honest, I don't know if anybody is still playing it online. You'd probably need to check out Red Faction forums or something. There was a Red Faction that came after this, and the name of it has escaped me. Is it Red Faction Armageddon? Well, that might have been another one. But anyway, the latest edition didn't have multiplayer, and there was loads of us that were really looking forward to it. And you know, we knew about 100 people in our small little world that were going to go out and buy this game on day one, until we all found out no multiplayer. Couldn't understand it. Just could not understand it. We actually had so much fun on here. Anyway, I'm going to give a halt on this now. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the 20 people thing. I think it was quite an interesting subject. As I said before, put your own lists in, you know, and do comment on my lists. This is Muppet out. Until the next time. Bye!